God of War, I love you. I love you. This game is a cinema. Although I died multiple times, it was very rewarding. I literally enjoyed every boss death. I've never felt some shit in my soul like this. I don't know what game compares to this. To seeing random players within your game, to seeing how people die and laugh at it, to see the messages, how funny they were, the weapons, the upgrades, absolute cinema, 10 out of 10 across the board.
So that was Kai's final reaction after finally completing Elden Ring. After 167 straight freaking hours, 1,700 deaths, the man did it. He did it, guys. I had a feeling he would. You know, we made a video when he started off the journey a couple days ago, about 160 hours ago. He seemed to have that tenacity to do so, even though he was kind of slamming his face. And I'm going to be honest, he actually overperformed. Like, I thought it was going to be like at least 200 plus hours. He did it under 200 hours. Honestly, like, complete props to him. I feel like to come out of this situation and like streaming 160 straight hours, sleeping on stream nonstop, having people, bother you with bits while you're trying to fall asleep, bother you with bits throughout the entire thing, and like the voice commands coming up. I don't think some people really understand how stressful like dying so many times in front of so many people can be. And he just straight up persevered through it, ended up beating the game under 200 hours. And I want to go through a couple of the clips because there was a couple of big moments. Obviously, the man started off pretty not so great. Within 5 hours, he instantly had 112 deaths because he wanted to go for the tree sentinel. And after like 5 hours of smashing his face into the tree sentinel, he still got killed when literally one hit away. Listen. He got that out of the way early because every single Souls player ever will experience that. And until you do, it hasn't really become a true Souls experience because everybody will always have that. Look at his face. Everybody will always have that moment where the boss is just one pixel of health away and you die. And it's one of the most heartbreaking moments. But he still kept going and actually ended up killing the Tree Sentinel at like level 1 for his default character. So big props to him. But overall, he seemed to have an absolute positive experience with the game. And that's kind of what you come out of it. It was going to be either he was going to hate it after going through all this shit, or he was going to absolutely love it. It was kind of like a toss-up, right? Like you didn't know exactly where he was going to land because it was just like, when you do it this style of just straight up attacking, but as you can see through the reactions, man, like these are the reactions you get so rarely in video games. This is like what you get for Souls games, and he had the same reaction I had for my first ever Souls game, which is freaking fantastic because I think if he hated the whole experience, he would have come out of it like, man, this game is shit. I was checking in a couple times, especially after I made the video. A lot of people kept me updated, which is cool. I'm glad that a lot of people wanted to see where he would end up. I think a lot of people I did see critiquing him for using Rivers of Blood, but at the end of the day, the dude has never played a Souls game. His first time playing Elden Ring. Like, you gotta let somebody use whatever the hell they want, There's so many people who, for their first playthrough, used cheesy ass stuff and then came back and then ended up using weapons that maybe aren't so good. If they ended up playing it again, I'm sure if he played it again, odds are he would probably use a different weapon. And in reality, this weapon isn't nearly as good as it used to be. So I actually think it's pretty okay. Like, I don't think it's really too bad. Still does tons of damage, but at the end of the day, there's a lot better builds if you know how to make builds. Now, one of my favorite moments from the whole run came with infamous Malenia. Now, let me tell you, right, we were watching this every once in a while. We would come back. Like I said, chat was keeping me updated when he was doing it. And he was doing fairly well. Had sort of a hard time kind of getting used to her moves because she is kind of just a pain in the ass. I think she moves fast, but what makes her so annoying isn't necessarily like her moves. It's that freaking health regen. Her health regen is still ridiculous. So he kind of seemed to be struggling a little bit with that, but he did eventually get her down.
Easy, no! Fuck! I'm gonna do this shit, bitch! Fuck!
Yeah, he didn't know that there was a second phase.
Huh?
That first huh is basically everybody's reaction the first time fighting this.
Naruto!
And then about another 24 hours. That's the look of a man who didn't know that 24 hours of struggling was still ahead of him with a malenia fight. But he did eventually get it. And this is honestly one of my favorite reactions that I've ever seen from somebody playing this game. He's celebrating with Godfrey over here. But it is, you know, this is the reason I think, like, Souls games do challenges so great, you know? This is why on, like, Twitch you'll always see the first time doing a challenge run, you know, playing Elden Ring for the first, like, it's such a big thing because if you go into it with a great mindset, this is the type of reaction you come out with, right? You come out with a love for the game, a love for that challenge, a new respect for that challenge. And that is honestly just such a fantastic reaction because anybody would have that same reaction after struggling for like legitimately nearly 2 straight days. But after that, it didn't really seem like too bad of a struggle, to be honest. Like he seemed to kind of just be locked in and be kind of ready for the end. It didn't really take him like a crazy amount more time, you know, considering like he took like 40 hours on Malenia. The last few bosses didn't seem like too bad. And then after 1701 death, it would have been kind of perfect if he would have beat it at 1700 deaths, but he did eventually get right through it. And he did get rid of actually the Rivers of Blood at the end. He ended up taking out Malenia's weapon, which is definitely like a good katana, but is, you know, compared to Rivers of Blood, I definitely think it's worse, but he did it. The man did it. 166 hours, 1700 deaths, and a fantastic reaction. I love it, man. For somebody who, you know, I think that is obviously not in the Souls community, and like his fans, I'd imagine, would be completely like maybe even unaware that this game existed. Being fans of like maybe just chatting content and don't really watch a lot of video games, and watching somebody struggle through this. Although, to be honest, if their first experience is watching somebody die 1700 times, they might stay away from the game in the future, or at least hopefully play it themselves and maybe look how afraid he looks, and maybe take away a little bit of something from the playthrough, which is to, you know, to kind of take your time with it, kind of go around, level up. But this man persevered, and he actually did it, which is great. I'm glad that Kai actually ended up finishing it, because there's been so many people that I've watched attempt this sort of same playthrough and just straight up fail, and straight up be like, you know, quit, give up, like I ain't doing this shit. And to do it all like nonstop, like, guys, this dude literally slept on stream. Ignore the fact that he probably had more viewers than I'll ever have ever in my entire life just for sleeping. I have no idea how anybody would ever just be able to fall asleep. There's 20,000 people watching him fall asleep right now. That's the crazy part, right? Like, this dude did it entirely, all in one stream, like sleeping on stream, getting up, playing Elden Ring for 20 hours, going back to sleep, you know, like, that's just stressful. I've done a 24-hour live stream, and after 24 hours of trying to not only entertain and play video games and try to play them well, especially when playing something so difficult for the first time, that shit is tough. A lot of people will say, you know, oh, he's just playing video games. I get paid to play video games, and I'm telling you, that shit is tough to sit there for 24 hours straight. You know, I don't really want to watch him scratch his balls, but that's the thing, right? Like, having to sit there every single day, know that you have to get up to just like smash your face up against this boss. A lot of people don't understand, and yes, he does get paid tons of money, and made probably so much money during this playthrough. But I feel like it still shouldn't discredit it. It still shouldn't discredit the pressure that 20,000, not only 20,000 people, this is just people who are chatting and probably backseating, and mostly probably like 90% of those are wrong in their backseating as well, which is makes the backseating even worse when it comes down to it. So I think, taking all that account, this is a huge achievement for this guy, I'm sure, man, and congrats to him. It was fun to watch his journey, to be honest. It was fun to have people keep me updated. I'm glad that a lot of people welcomed him into the community very nicely. It seemed like a lot of the people who I interact with and I would consider friends and buddies and people that I like all seem to be very positive about this. There's a lot of people who are obviously negative. I would consider that to be like, you know the people who play either really serious and like only their whole pride is being good at Souls games, and then they see somebody that's so huge being, I wouldn't say bad, but just not great, and still getting, you know, this much attention. I think it's a lot of like, you see a lot of jealousy in stuff like that, you know. I think everybody should be very supportive for people who try something out of their comfort zone, and clearly this seemed to be something for him, and he actually persevered and did it. So that's cool, man. He did say he would do it for the DLC as well, so it should be kind of interesting to see him actually go through the DLC and see if he has that same commitment, which I think he would. It's just a matter of doing it. Shit, man, this guy might beat it before I do if he's on for the stream for 24 hours straight. But I can't wait for the DLC, not only for myself personally, but everybody's going to be having the same situation for the first time. Once again, for Elden Ring, all that exploration for the first time, getting stuck on bosses. I remember everybody in the beginning when Elden Ring came out, there was one point where everybody hit a wall, and like the top 20 people on stream and that were streaming on Twitch were all stuck on Radon. I can't wait to see what boss does that for the first time in the DLC. It's gonna be fucking fantastic. We're only at this point about a month and a half away. Can't wait. But I appreciate everybody watching. Shout outs to Kai for beating it, and honestly I can't wait to have this same type of experience for the DLC for myself. But either way, thank you all for watching. Consider leaving a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye everybody.